Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be playing the Type 71, a tank we haven't actually made a video on for quite some time. In fact, the last lot of videos I made of the tank was insane. The tank really was insane. Of course, it is the tier 10 Japanese heavy tank that when it was first released, honestly, it was crazy. In my first video that I'd done of the tank's got certain equipment, and I made a video saying you have to run it with this improved vertical stabilizer. What that basically did was give it 3 degrees extra gun depression, which is absolutely insane. Like an extra 3 degrees, like imagine running an equipment that you can get an extra 3 degrees of gun depression. Absolutely insane. So I basically told everyone you have to run this equipment. Hello, my phone's charging. You have to run this equipment because like 9 degrees is crazy with the turret armor that this tank has got. But how wrong I was, because then I started playing it with the improved suspension, which made the tank more like a medium tank. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So but I basically told everyone you need to run this equipment, not the other one. Nowadays, Wargaming nerfed the tank. They did nerf that the equipment, and honestly, it's nowhere near as good as it once was. The tank's definitely had it. It's one for the past. It's still a good tank, but it's really not the same tank as it was. So armor-wise, 203 on your turret. So not the best of armors, but to be fair, you can bounce quite a lot, especially if you are in that hull down. 178 on your hull. Now, the hull is actually very troll. If people do switch to the premium realms, they will penetrate you like butter, but it's very troll armor. Very annoying armor when you come up against the Type 71. So we are running it with calibrated shells. So the penetration is, the DPM is 2,442. The reload is 10.3 seconds. And the penetration is 268 on your standard AP, 346 on your premium AP, and 66 on your HE. Your damage, you've got a 420 alpha on your standard AP, 360 on your premium, and 530 on your HE. Aim time 3.8, not the best, but not the worst. The dispersion 0.344. Again, not the best, not the worst. It's kind of just average. Now, without that equipment, you're looking at a standard 6 degrees of gun depression. Yeah, I mean, top speed 37 kilometers per hour as well. But playing the tank now, honestly, it just doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel fun. I don't know. Like I've tried running both lots of equipment. Like, is it best to use the 9 degrees of gun depression, or is it best to use the better suspension? It gets it a little bit quicker, the traverse is a little bit better, etc. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know no more. I really don't know. Either way, I think it's one of those tanks that you can run either way. So even if you do run it with that improved suspension, it still doesn't feel nowhere near as good as it used to be. Now, the best thing about the running either equipment, if you haven't played the tank yet, then you'd have probably never known how good the tank actually used to be. Stupidly here, I took that shot. Didn't need to take the shot, really. And yeah, it just feels a lot slower. Honestly, the tank feels so much slower than it used to be. And yeah, I'm not enjoying the tank as much as I probably should. And it's a shame because it was such a fun tank to play. It was so OP. When it was first released, it was such an OP tank. Obviously, if you wanted to run it with the gun depression and you can get yourself on a ridge, then yeah, you're like almost impenetrable. Yes, there is obviously weak points, but yeah, no one could really penetrate you. If that wasn't OP enough, but you could also get the improved suspension, which made the tank even more OP than even having 9 degrees of gun depression. So yeah, it just changed the tank completely. Like, it was so maneuverable, so quick. You can just fly around the map, sort of traverse was really, really quick. No medium tank could sort of circle you, and there was just no problem whatsoever. And even wiggling as well, so using that armor profile. And if someone's looking at you, to wiggle your tank, because that's when the armor becomes very, very troll, when you're wiggling, and it's very annoying. It really is very, very annoying. But yeah, obviously, I did think it did need a nerf. I'm not going to lie, it did need a nerf. But it's balanced, and it is kind of annoying, because I'm not saying the tank is weak by all means. It is balanced, but because I used to play the tank when it was at its best, you play it now, and it just doesn't feel like anything really. It just doesn't feel half as good as it used to be, but it's still a decent tank. You know, you can still perform well in it, whether you run the gun depression or the suspension. It's still really, it can be really, really good. But for those that have played it when it was at its best, let me know what you think of the tank now, because obviously it did need a nerf. It has got a nerf. Is it a tank that you still play? Because honestly, after the nerf, I never play the tank anymore, really. I prefer other heavy tanks. For me, it just feels too slow. It honestly just feels too slow, and it is a shame. It is a shame, but having said all that, as I've just said, it did definitely need a nerf. It needed something, because it was sort of definitely on the OP side of things when it comes to tech tree tanks. And yeah, I don't know if that was the right nerf. I don't know, because you know you're running two separate equipments that are new to the game. You know, no other tank have got these equipments that you can run, that changes gun depression, that changes the suspension, etc. No other tank has got this, so it is unique to sort of this line. But yeah, now because it's so unique, it just doesn't feel unique, because it just doesn't really, I don't think it changes the tank too much. But what I do like about it now, or even before, is how you play the tank. And you could play it, or you can run the equipment on how you play the tank. If you are a ridgeline tanker that loves to get on a ridgeline, that loves to use your turret armor, then yeah, of course, run it with that 9 degrees of gun depression, because it will definitely help you. Whereas if you're more of a brawler, then you need to run it with the suspension, because you can brawl a lot easier with that equipment, but just not as good as it used to be. So let me know your thoughts on the Type 71. Did you play it before it got nerfed, and is it a tank that you still play? I'd love to know, because yeah, I honestly don't play it. I don't enjoy the tank as much now. I'm not saying the tank is bad. It's still a decent tank. It's still got decent armor that can bounce almost anything that comes in front of you, putting it in the right position. But let me know what you think. What equipment do you run? Do you still run the improved suspension, or do you run the extra gun, the extra 3 degrees of gun depression? I'd love to know, and I'd also love to know what you think of the tank. So for now, just going to finish this off with a shot here on the Ritter. Bit of HE. Can we do top damage? No, we can't, but it's still a little bit of damage. And then a shot here on the BZ75. And, you know, we've still done a decent job, to be fair. You know, 5,300 damage. I thought that was pretty solid, considering we was front line. And that was with us using the suspension, the improved suspension. So, but again, we was on flat ground. If we was on flat ground, then of course the suspension will be much better. But if we went to the top and we were using the gun depression, then probably the gun depression equipment would be better. But overall, I think it was a pretty solid game, only a first class, and I'm like, what? 1500 XP should be enough to ace these tanks, but clearly, people are still doing well in the Type 71. But again, I'd love to know your opinion. What do you think of the Type 71? And after the nerf, what equipment do you run? But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.